Okay, we are jumping into Algebra 1.1 notes, which is about variables and expressions. So we're going to complete the table below. What would 9 more than a number y be? So more is going to be addition. So 9 more means 9 is after the y. So y and then 9 more means y plus 9. Okay, so for less than n, that means less comes after whatever n's value is, which we don't know, so we're just going to call it n. And if it's less, for less, it is subtracting 4. Okay, the next one we have is a number z times 3. Okay, probably you're thinking z and then times 3, or maybe you're using an x. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that for algebra, 2 things. We probably will not use the little x anymore for multiplication because that looks like a variable x, and so we'll use a dot. But even better than this, I want you to squish them together with no symbol in between. That means they're being multiplied, and always put your letter, this is a fancy word for the number, it's called a coefficient. Always put your coefficient in front of the letter, which is a fancy word, is called the variable. So a better way to write it from now on is 3z squished together, which means it's being multiplied. And again, the number always comes in front of the variable. And the number, if it's in front of a variable, the fancy word for that is the coefficient. We'll say that a lot this year in algebra, so you might as well learn it now. And again, if you were to put z times 3 like this, that's okay. We'll accept that. That's the same answer as 3z. It's just going to be seen a lot more often in algebra like this. Okay, a number a divided by 12. So all that looks like is a is being divided by 12. And here we go again. Even though this is fine, and you will see it sometimes like this, most of the time in algebra when you're dividing, it's written as a fraction. The top one is the numerator, divided by whatever it's divided by, the denominator goes on the bottom. So a better way to write a divided by 12 looks like this, a divided by 12. So again, this is okay, this is correct, but this is how you'll see it more often in algebra. So it would probably be better if you would go ahead and start writing it like that. Okay, this last one is a little tricky. 5 times what? 5 times, well, the quantity of 4 plus a number c. So the whole thing is 5 times this part. So I would write this part in parentheses, kind of like I've done here, and then you've got the 5 times the whole thing. So it's going to look like this. 5 times, if you want to use a dot for times, the whole thing of 4 plus c. It's not just 5 times 4, and it's not just 5 times c, it's 5 times the entire quantity of 4 plus a number c. So 5 gets multiplied by all the parts in the quantity on the inside of this. So it would be distributed if you remember the distribution property. Again, I really want you to, if it's being multiplied, not even use the multiplication symbol and squish it together. So a better way to write this one would just be 5 times the quantity 4 plus c. That would be ideal. This is correct, but this is better. Just like this is better, just like this is better. It's how you'll see it more often. So just get in that habit now. Okay, for the next section, I would love for you to pause the video and try these on your own. If you're not quite ready, go ahead and just keep watching the video. But if you are ready to try a few, push pause, try them, and then check your work, please. All right, 16 more than m. More means added. So m, we're adding 16. That is 16 more than m. Number 2, the product. Product means multiply, or that. So the product of c and 3, remember it's better to write it like this. If you wrote c times 3, that's fine, but this is better. You'll see this more often. All right, x less than 2. So it's 2, and then x is less than that. So you really need to write your 2 first, and then you're subtracting the x. By the way, if you did it like this, that is not correct. And I'll tell you why. Let's say x was 10. 2 minus 10 is a completely different answer than 10 minus 2. 2 minus 10 is negative 8. 10 minus 2 is positive 8. So those are different answers. So this is not correct. This is x is less than something that was already written there first. So the 2 is written first, and then it's x less than that. So we're subtracting x from that. I hope it makes sense. All right, number 4. 4 more means we're going to add 4 to whatever we're talking about. And the thing that we're talking about, that we're adding 4 to, is the quotient of g and 6. Quotient means divide. And remember, we're writing division problems like fractions. So we want to put g and 6 in a fraction, g divided by 6. And then we want to add 4 more to that. So what I would do, you can use parentheses, g divided by 6, and then we're going to add 4. In this particular problem, if you didn't use parentheses, it's okay, because order of operations tells you would divide first and then add 4. You always divide before adding, but since it says 4 more and then the quotient of whatever, then the product of whatever, then the quantity of whatever, it's a good idea to always keep that grouped together. Okay, 10 less. 10 less than what? So we're subtracting 10 from something. And that something is the quotient, again, quotient means divide, of a number c and 13. So we've got our c divided by 13, and then this is 10 less than that. So we're subtracting 10 from it. And again, if you don't use parentheses in this particular problem, it's okay, because you would always use order of operations to divide first and then subtract, but I just always like to keep it together. All right, 9 less than something. So we're subtracting 9 from something. What are we subtracting it from? 18 times a number x. 18 times x. Squish it all together, 18x. Okay, and again, you don't need parentheses because you would always multiply before subtracting anyway. 6 times the sum means to add of q and 9. So you're going to add q and 9, and then you're going to have 6 times that. So I definitely want to have this in parentheses because I want to know that we're adding these two first, and then we're taking it 6 times that many. So q plus 9, and then it's 6 times that. I'm just going to squish the 6 up front because we know that nothing means it's an invisible multiplication symbol. Number 8, 1/5 of. Of means multiply. So anytime you see the word of, it means you're multiplying. 1/5 of the sum of 10 and q. So sum means add. So you're going to add 10 and q. 10 plus q. But then we have 1/5 of that amount, 1/5 times that amount. So I'm going to squish the 1/5 at the beginning with no symbol in between because that's telling me I'm going to multiply it, distribute it, which is multiply it. Okay, number 9, 12 times what? 12 times the quotient, which means divide, of g and 43. So quotient, g and 43, that means divide, and then we've got 12 times that amount. So I'm just going to squish a 12 out front. 12 times the the quotient of g and 43. Okay, and then the last one, 6 less. So whatever it is, we know we're going to be subtracting 6 from it. So what comes first is the product of 7 and t, or t and 7, but you always put the, remember, fancy word coefficient before the variable. So I'm going to squish together 7 and t. 7 times t minus 6. Also, be really careful when you make your t's. I always have to give it this little end, this little tail here, because a lot of times t's look like pluses. So we don't want to look at it as 7 plus negative 6. This is 7t being multiplied minus 6.